This video begins with 4 students which have the passion for what's going on in their York community. All of these students have yet to reach high school. While watching the videos that they worked on, you will get to meet each of them and learn about the projects that they shaped into York Storykids stories. Before introducing these young visual journalists, I want to thank everyone who made York Storykids, my community, my vision, happen. To begin, I want to mention how much I appreciate the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts awarding me with a PPA Project Stream grant. This was the base for me to make this project become a reality. I also want to thank the Pennsylvania Partner in the Arts Regional Partner, Cultural Alliance of York, especially Kelly Gibson, who literally walked me through the grant writing process. Everybody knows how important it is to have a local library, and Martin Library has been incredibly helpful to our project by allowing us to hold our weekly classes in their family place room. Thank you also to Liz Lewis for her editing skills. Liz read through and rewrote the text which the students created and read in each of their pieces. Oh yeah, she proofread and rewrote my introduction too. In addition to getting them to class each week, the parents deserve a lot of credit for helping their children figure out what directions the stories would go in. May I also mention that behind the leader of an ongoing project is an assistant who keeps them focused along the right path. The real York Storykids director is my wife Debbie, who puts up with me and quietly redirects me when needed. Now, let's meet the York Storykids. The first video is by Emily. She participates in Lego League where she learned about robotics and teamwork. We'll let Emily tell her story.
My name is Emily Mock and I am a 6th grader living in York, PA. I participate in a program called Lego League, a combination of Legos, teamwork, and robotics. I enjoyed it so much that the focus of my story would be about Lego League. Technology in schools is growing each year. What a better way to demonstrate than to show you through my Lego League story.
Team 7314, Textorm Lightning.
Could you tell me how robotics is going to help your future?
With robotics helping my future, a lot of people nowadays want to go into the science and technology fields like I do. So First Lego League is part of STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. So that helps kids with learning more about those 4 things with fun things like robotics.
It will give you the problem-solving skills you need to be successful in almost any environment, and some team-building skills to help you no matter what you choose to do in your future. And then certainly there are implications for math and science, depending on if that's a focus area for you.
How can robotics be brought into your school?
Well, maybe for you could have a lab, so the kids could play with the robots and get to know how they work.
Come on, knock it over, knock it over.
I think it supplements what you learn in the classroom, and it allows you to take the things that you're learning in the classroom and apply them in a real-world situation. It's difficult to simulate that at school. This gives you a chance in a fun environment to use those skills that you're learning.
Explain what you like about Lego League.
Well, I like the fact that first, it's not just Legos, but it's actually robots that you can control, and people think, oh, it's just little kid stuff, but you could show them how it's actually really serious.
I think with the technology we have nowadays, like Legos, it can be taught almost as early as kids can start to put things together and learn to build from there. It's just the level of expectation, I think, changes as you get older in your ability to program it to do more sophisticated things.
What would you like to see added to Lego League?
I think maybe, that's a hard question. Well, with the competitions, they could have, like, they could bring in some of, like, for the younger kids, like the robots that they use, and they could see what they're going to be doing when they get older, and once you're in FLO, what you're going to be doing once you get to FTC.
Technology is always changing, so robotics is going to expand and improve, become more accessible to people as the programming gets more readily available to people at younger ages. As schools are able to afford the technology, they can integrate it into their classrooms and the focus of different things that they're doing. So it will certainly change over time as more people get exposure to it.
In the future, I'd want to become a microbiologist. So within the engineering, they could create tools that could help us, like microbiologists now could be able to see cells in a different way and more in an in-depth way than before with just the regular, microscopes. Yeah. And also with, like, cell research and things like with cancer and cancer research.
In 3, 2, 1, let go!
My little friend with me is going to help me make the best purchasing decisions all the time. I think I would have to call mine Penny, because it would be helping me to manage my finances and purchases, and helping me to keep track of all of those things. I mean, I'm sure a calculator or a handheld computer will do that.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hands off.
You can sit over there so she's looking at you, not through the camera. That way it'll be easier for her to talk to you. Okay? It's up to you.
Could you tell me how robotics is going to help your future?
A lot of people nowadays want to go into the science and technology fields like I do. So, First Lego League is part of STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math.
Next up is Caroline. Her interest in the arts has drawn her to the following story.
Driving through York, you'll notice colorful murals, intriguing sculptures, and dressed-up parking meters. What you don't often see are the artists behind these masterpieces. There is no way to know what it's really like being an artist in York City. Because of the small, compact communities throughout York, artists from all over are settling into Pennsylvania's hidden gem. There are now more opportunities than ever for striving artists to find jobs doing what they love and turning their creativity into a career. The artists don't have to stay together anymore and are beginning to branch out because the city is accepting them and their art. The city of York is changing art for the better, and art is changing the city. My name is Caroline Bauer, and I'm an 8th grade student from West York. I consider myself an artistic person, and because of that, I have chosen to tell the story of the city canvas as my York Storykids project.
We're a living canvas. I think that one thing that made me fall in love with York the most is the fact that you feel like where you're walking is completely intact from the time of the 1700s till now.
Where I grew up in Maryland is a really spread out kind of country sort of area. So here in York, everything is a lot more compact and there's a lot more artists in a small space, which makes it a lot more interesting and I'm going to say dense. So there's a lot more happening. It's a lot easier to find artists, creative people, to find galleries and things. And in Maryland, it's difficult to seek out. It's not so much a community as a couple of isolated events.
I think that the city is finally recognizing the art community, even more so than it's growing. When I first got involved in downtown York in the 90s, the thing that amazed me the most was how many artists live here. There is an amazing amount of artists that live in downtown York. What we need to do is make a city that is welcoming to new artists, but also supports the artists that we have.
Because my whole life is art and the rest of my life is York, that it brings a lot of people into the area. So it's pretty commonly recognized that the arts are what is bringing back this resurgence of York City right now, which is really neat. People in the community that are not necessarily artists, as they recognize how important the arts are, it's feeding into the economy of the artists. So we see a lot more purchasing of art in big levels and small levels. We see a lot more of art-related events, and it's giving all of our artists the confidence to keep making more, to keep doing more, and then feed back into the community. And that's why it's working, because as artists we have confidence now to come out of our shells and show our work and seek out places where we can sell our work and show our work, and it makes us part of the community. I think it's important to talk about the way the schools now in the city, I feel like, are dealing with art, because that is changing, it seems. You know, when I first started participating in the community here, when I first started working at the Parliament, which was our first gallery here on Royal Square, we were there because we were losing all of the art out of the school. It was when all of the big budgeting crisis and all of this terrible stuff was happening, and so none of the schools had any art. And so we wanted to give a place where we could host art shows for school-age kids and teens and high schools and things like that. And that's how, one of the main reasons that that started was to give it back to all of these kids that really need it so desperately.
The other thing that I think is happening is utilizing the arts as a teaching tool to teach not art, but the other subjects. I think finally the national conversation about how the arts and training in the arts helps you learn better, helps you retain information, and helps your brain be able to stretch and do more complicated tasks. And the idea of STEAM, putting the A in science, technology, engineering, and math, is finally translating down locally. A great example is artist residencies that use dance to teach geography, people that use hands-on projects, mosaics, to teach science. Those are the ways that people are finally retaining and really helping all learners learn. And the arts is a tool, not the end result.
The programs are coming back, but they don't have any money for supplies or budgets, and that's something that I can help with, which is really all I want to do. So it's really important. So as the community is recognizing the importance of the arts in the economic development of our city, the schools are starting to catch on, and it's starting to get its gravity back. I think we're going to see more and more artists being able to live solely on their art. It's that confidence to be able to start a business for yourself, to start selling your work and making a living at it. And so I think that that is going to become more and more of a recognized opportunity. Hopefully that will filter down into the schools so that kids in the schools will see that there is a path, there's a career path here.
Walking by the Gates House and Plow Tavern makes you feel like there's just so many souls walking around you. And I think that's one of the main reasons why so many artists live here, is it's so inspiring to live here. There's just such a beautiful embracing of our history, and we're all in our own ways curators and keepers of that history.
Sebastien travels to school each day through the road construction taking place along Mount Rose Avenue at I-83. These daily trips past the work area has helped Sebastien form a concern about how his school is dealing with the road work.
Hello, my name is Sebastien Philippe, and I'm a middle schooler at the York River Middle School. I chose to do my Storykids video project on the Mount Rose Avenue exit area construction project, I-83, because this project affects my community. My bus goes by here on the way to and from school, and it impacts my family because we use this exit to get on and off the highway. All of these thoughts blossomed into the video story because they affect me now and in the future, so I figured, hey, why not? I think I did a good job, but I don't think it would have been possible without the help of Mr. Flum, my mom, and my dad, who helped me come up with the idea and then proceeded to help me even further. During the last few weeks, Mr. Flum has taught me about camera angles, points of view, and different interviewing techniques. I enjoyed hearing about what the other Storykids were working on. I also learned a lot about myself during this process, and it made me think about how people's lives are impacted by the actions of others. Big shout out to everyone who helped. Now onto the video.
The construction that's happening will result in a terrific end product. But in the meantime, we're feeling the effects with slower bus rides some days and so on. Right now, we expect this to carry through, we're in the 15-16 school year, we expect this to carry into about January of 2018. It's a long-term project. I suspect the bus schedule we have now will be very similar to what it will be after construction. But somewhere in the middle of there, we're going to change bus routes and or bus schedules. Some of the buses that go down Mount Rose and across 83 to Haynes Road, we will actually probably not use that same route. We'll take them out to Market Street and around that intersection. And so that will make for a little bit of a longer bus ride. We're already feeling the consequences of the construction. I'm not sure where you live, Sebastien, but if you cross 83 to get from the high school to the middle school, or if you live on this side of town, your bus ride has probably been disrupted already. In the end, it should be much more efficient. The area in front of Kmart, between Kmart and where the bagel shop is, Sebastien, if you know, on Haynes Road, in that section of Haynes Road, it's actually going to be 6 lanes wide. That's a major increase. Right now, there are some parts where it's where it's 3 lanes wide, but to move to 6 is a dramatic increase. So that should make the flow go much quicker. It would be much more efficient. So in the end, we think it's going to be more efficient traffic flow. But in the middle of it, we think there's going to be lots of closures or down to 1 lane, and we think there's going to be long delays. We have a lot of teachers who travel, and so they might teach at the high school and the middle school, or at Valley View and the middle school, or at Valley View and East York. And so every single day they're crossing through that construction zone to do the other part of their job. And so we're very concerned, and we're already feeling the effects of that. We give them maybe a half hour to get from one to the other. And that means they get from their classroom to the car, drive, then get from the parking lot to their classroom in the other building. And we're finding that we have to leave more time for them because of the construction. And so that means it affects how we schedule our classes and what teachers schedule what classes in what buildings. And that already has been a hardship for us. The Pennsylvania Department of Transportation meets with us, is some of the administrators here at York Suburban. It's every few months, and they give us updates on the project. They bring in these big boards with all the diagrams and show us exactly what's happening and when. Yeah. Now their timetable also changes. And so when they started the project, we expected it to hit this time frame. But then it shifted to this one, and now we're on our 3rd or 4th time frame because there's always delays with big projects like that. So far, the disruption has not been significant enough to change bus schedules, but we do expect that to happen as early as next year. At the bottom of the hill where Green Hill hits Mount Rose, there'll be a stoplight there. And that's a very different setup now. It's hard to imagine because right now that's a single lane road. Yeah. And so that will divert a lot of traffic. Right now, a lot of students who drive to the high school or parents driving from Haynes Acres to the high school, they have to pass Green Hill Road because they can't turn up that hill because it's one way and go all the way down Mount Rose till they get to Ogons. Once that opens up to a 2-lane road, they'll be able to turn and go up that. So that should reduce some of the traffic on Mount Rose. PennDOT tells us about their work, but there's some prep work that has to be done before PennDOT. And so that project, for example, was not communicated well with the school district. And so there was a lot of days where only 1 lane was open, especially at 3 o'clock at the end of the school day. And so that caused some unanticipated hardships. So it caused a lot of later buses, but we haven't had any accidents, fortunately. The students will still live in the same sections of town, and so we determine the attendance zones by numbers of students. It won't be construction that changes the number of students that live in either zone. If there would be changes in the number of students because there's a new housing project or by coincidence one zone grows significantly larger than the other, there would be changes, but it won't be related to the construction. York Suburban teachers and staff are very flexible. Our parents and our students are so focused on school. We think that they will cooperate with us and the construction. We'll find a way through this. It might be it might be a hardship here and there, but overall I think York Suburban will be as strong as ever, and in spite of the construction.
Okay, I'm holding this steady. You can zoom it, yep, toward this way. Good, 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 good. Keep going, keep going. Good, good, good. Okay, stay there. That's good. Morgan has developed an opinion that the public needs to be aware of the people in her community that live below the poverty line. Here is her report.
The world is very different now, for a man holds in his hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. This quote means if you destroy a way of life, you destroy life itself. But what if there is a way to rid ourselves of problems without getting rid of ourselves? The best way to do this is awareness. To be aware of what's going on outside our little bubbles. Awareness of what is outside of ourselves. And the ability to walk in someone else's shoes without taking off our own. With this awareness, we can make the world a better place without destroying it. My name is Morgan Janasek. I'm an 8th grader living in West York. I chose the topic of poverty for my York Storykids project because people need to be aware of what's going on around them. They can help just by being aware.
Tell me about a typical day in your life.
A typical day, I have to get up at 6. I have 6 children, so 5 of them go to school and 1 go to daycare. So I get up, get everybody dressed, take my daughter to daycare, and then I'm on my way to the Work Ready program, and this is from 9 to 3:30 since I'm 30 hours a week. Mostly in the classroom setting, working on resumes, mock interviews, job searches, and stuff like that.
One of the things that people in poverty learn is that there isn't a whole bunch of hope for the future, that their goals and their strategy is really to look for today and how to survive and how to get by today's issues. In the industry, that's called that they reference that people don't have a future story. They don't have a vision and a plan for their future. And so when we work with clients, we're really talking about, let's create your future story. Let's talk about where you want to be in the next 6 months or a year.
The community program has helped me in the past a lot because they offer, besides the work program, they offer help with like electricity bill, and sometimes they have funding for housing. In the past, they have helped me with housing and utility bills. Right now, Work Ready is just getting you ready to go get yourself into the work field. So right now, like, everything is just on yourself, like putting down your goals and your short-term, your long-term goals. And the teacher, Malia, she's very great. Like, she just empowers you, and even if you have like a language that we're used to speaking on the outside, like, she just reminds you, hey, in the business world it's different. So just working on yourself basically until we get where we need to be.
We're doing the same thing internally as an organization. We're looking at how do we grow and how do we plan for the future. Because if what we're doing as an organization is just putting a Band-Aid on an issue, then we're not going to be able to grow and develop. And then we look comprehensively again at a community level. What is our plan for the future as it relates to poverty? And how do we collectively impact on the issue of poverty? So that really gets us at the advocacy part of our mission statement. So all of those values really combine to make Community Progress Council the organization that it is.
I don't know. I'm appreciative to say I'm happy for stuff like this, for single mom, for somewhere for us to go to make us feel like we're giving back a little bit, even though we are, collecting a little bit of assistance.
Our mission is to empower individuals and families to move towards self-sufficiency and to empower the community through advocacy to create community change.
I'm not self-sufficient yet, but because I just kind of feel as though it's a good thing not to just collect a check from welfare and sit at home. It would be kind of like in vain. It's good that this program is, somewhere for us to get up and do something every day. It's kind of like a job. So, I don't know, I think it's great, and I'm just happy that they have programs like this, even for other girls coming up behind me.
We promote professionalism. So we encourage particular behaviors among our staff members, with our employees and with our clients, but also in our interactions with the community, that we behave professionally and that we have the highest standard of performance in everything that we do. We talk about ongoing learning as an essential element of what we do. For ourselves as employees, we are constantly talking about how do we improve our performance through ongoing learning. We encourage that of our clients. Education is really the cornerstone of helping folks to come out of poverty. Through training and education, they are able to get better jobs and earn more money. So education and ongoing learning is really, really an important piece of what we do.
My goals, I'm a little embarrassed to say, right now I don't have my GED. I passed everything except the math. This is going to be my 5th time taking the math. I'm hoping to get that done by the end of this year. And then after that, I don't know. It's just going to open my mind up to so much stuff. I know I want to do something, but I just quite don't know what yet. But that's like my short-term goal, is to get my GED.
Community Progress Council right now is made up of 10 separate programs. And what we like to say is that when someone walks through the doors here, they're not entering the doors to get one service, they're entering the doors to ask for help from Community Progress Council. So regardless of where someone comes for help, we'd like to create a relationship with them that we could then transfer them to another program for that kind of help, and we integrate the help that we provide and really wrap it around a family or a person so that they get a comprehensive service. And it's through a relationship, a positive relationship we create with folks, that we can take them through that very long journey between poverty and self-sufficiency.
Advice. Everything is by choice, because the choices in my life is the reason why I am not 100% self-sufficient. Just to try to make better choices, to know that you can be somebody, to know that you don't have to fall short all the time, because statistically, we always, they say in the black community, we have 5, 6, 7 kids, so we're always going to be unemployed and all that, but making the right choices is going to help you get a better future. It's giving you a sense of self-worth. You can get up every day and be somebody. Even if you are having public assistance, there's somewhere for you to go and feel appreciated and help you with stuff that, sitting at home wouldn't help you do.
Could you tell me why the Community Progress Council was founded?
Sure. In 1965, President Johnson declared a war on poverty. And with that declaration of a war on poverty, he created legislation that organized what's called a community action agency. The Community Progress Council is one of about 1,000 community action agencies across the country, and we receive a specific pot of money designated to fight poverty.
I hope you enjoyed these stories as much as we enjoyed creating them. Everyone has an opinion on some topic, and there are so many different ways to express them. York Storykids is an outlet that allows youngsters to learn how to express these opinions about their community through video. We would love your feedback. You may also find us at facebook.com/YorkStorykids or email me at raflom@comcast.net. Thank you again to everyone who has helped make this project possible. Think back to the videos you just watched. These students represent the potential for young people to grow up with the ability to think critically and form their own opinions. With the help of programs such as York Storykids, they are learning how to communicate, to shape, and possibly influence their generation.